Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen, Rav Shmuel with you. And this is sort of an extra 10-minute Torah. I don't know that I'm going to get it on my weekly email. I may go ahead and send it out. I will put it on my website. It will be in my YouTube channel. But I decided to add it because we as a congregation made a decision that we're going to have a Passover 7, Pesach 7, Pesach Sheva service, the seventh day of Pesach this Friday. So I thought I would, because it's such a great portion, I wanted to address it, and I thought I would give you a little synopsis of the Torah readings during HaMoed. Now, during Passover and during Sukkot, those are the two, 7 if you're in Israel, /8 if you're not in Israel, if you're in the diaspora, in exile. For all of those days, the intermediate days, as they call, there is a Torah reading. So the intermediate days are kind of like a minor, kind of like a half holiday, if you will. Yes, you can go out and do work, but you just do what you need to do to subsist. It's kind of like a maintenance, nothing where you're starting new business, you're breaking in a new field, you're just going in and you're just doing what you typically do just to keep the business running. So it's kind of a half holiday. Now, my thinking, and I think I might have heard this somewhere, it may not just be my idea, is that the reason we have these minor holidays is because we have so many holidays where we're taking off or where we're doing things. And this is embedded in the life of Jews, in the life of Israel, to do these things because we're constantly serving God. We're a nation of priests. So we have, as I like to call them, the spring high holidays, where we have Pesach, and we have those 2 days, the big 2 days, and they're 2 days out here again in the diaspora versus the one day in Israel. We have the intermediate days, and then we have the last day, which is pretty important as well. So, or we have the seventh day and the eighth day. Then we're counting down the Omer, right to Shavuot. And they say that Shavuot is not really a specific day. It's just 50 days from. That's how they do it. So when you see, well, there's no day, and you say, wait a minute, it's always on the 6th of Shavuot, Shevat, I think, something, I forget the name of that, 6th of Shabbat, I think, yes. That month, it's always on that day. I think sometimes it could be on the 5th. But they don't say that. They just say it's marked 50 days from. That's how it's designated, not a specific day, the way Pesach is the 15th of Nisan, or the way Rosh Hashanah is the 1st of Tishrei, and then Yom Kippur is the 10th of Tishrei. So that's where that's at. So you do have those intermediate days. There is a Torah reading every day. During the Chol HaMoed, during the intermediate days, you have typically 4 Torah readings. You have the Kohen, the Levi, and the Israel, and typically you have the 3 Torah readings that you would have during a Monday or a Thursday or a weekday service. But you also have a 4th reading, that's a maftir. And like Rosh Chodesh, when you have a new month, there's always that Rosh Chodesh, it's a maftir, and the maftir, which is the 4th Aliyah, is from Numbers, and it's the offering for Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh for the new month. That's the section that they do. And then for Passover and Sukkot, you also have that maftir reading. It's still in Numbers in that same part of the Torah, but it also talks about the offering that was done on those days. So in this particular case, in Passover, as you would imagine, each one of these readings has to do with Passover. So for Chol HaMoed 1, which is actually the 3rd day, it's after the 2 days, the reading is about observing the Passover holiday. And it is actually one of the parchments that you will find in your tefillin, because at the end of that particular part, and it's Exodus, it talks about making it a sign upon your arm and upon your head. And it talks about for 7 days you'll eat matzah and that. So that's why that's in there. There's also other portions that are taken from various parts of the Torah that also talk either about the sanctification of the firstborn or of eating matzah. You also have a portion where it's talking about do not give a false report, do not join with others in a false report. Interesting how that commandment, and y'all know I talk about this a lot, is embedded in the Passover Torah readings. But it's either the idea that, God brought us out of Egypt and we observe the Passover, or the honoring the firstborn. God talks about the firstborn belongs to me, and even the firstborn child, the firstborn male of a couple belongs to God. And we have the Pidyon Haba, which is where we redeem that firstborn child from the priest in that ceremony. The seventh and eighth day of Passover. The seventh day, now there was people, we hadn't had that originally planned, but people wanted to do it because that's a very interesting Torah reading. That is the reading. It starts the portion of Shlach, and it contains, as you might guess it, it's the Song of the Sea. So that's a real important portion too. It talks about how the Israelites were leaving Egypt. God wanted to bring them out of Egypt as quickly as possible. But God had, if you read it carefully, God had kind of this weird purpose in putting the Israelites back to the sea. Now, why would God do this? Why would God kind of set the Israelites up so that their backs are to the sea? And Pharaoh, and God told Moses he's going to do this. I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart yet one more time. The 9 plagues were not enough. The 10th plague, killing of the firstborn, apparently Pharaoh is just going out of his mind now because he doesn't want, his ego just got the better of him. His ego, his narcissism. He grabs 300 of his special forces charioteers, and he goes after the Israelites. He doesn't want to. He's going to show Hashem who's boss, and Hashem's like, hey, we gave him more than 10 chances. Moses and Aaron went there. They turned their staff into a snake. And his wizards, his necromancers were able to do the same. Aaron's staff, Moses' staff, as a snake, ate the other snakes that they had made, their illusions, and then just became a staff again. Wasn't enough. So then we had the 9 plagues. Wasn't enough. God said, okay, measure for measure. Pharaoh, you condemned the firstborn male of the Israelites because you thought there was going to be somebody to rise up. And now we're going to take your firstborn. And in a way, this was a whole big self-fulfilling prophecy, wasn't it? I mean, what if Pharaoh didn't do anything? What if he said, whatever, not going to happen, he didn't believe him? Of course, they were superstitious people. All the ancient peoples were very superstitious. That's why they believed in pagan gods. So he took it seriously and he wanted to take a measure. So now that measure is being used against him. So Pharaoh is going out of his mind now. He was bested by Hashem. He's going after the Israelites. God said to Moses, I will be glorified by Pharaoh. And the glorification came with the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, the hardening of the bottom of the sea. So we've all been to the beach. We know the sandy bottom, so that they can they can walk on the dry land, on the surface, the solid surface, take their cattle, take their wagons, whatever, through that. And once they and God held the Egyptians at bay with a pillar of cloud, a pillar of fire. The Egyptians, once those pillars disappeared, and they disappeared because the Israelites were on the other side of the Sea of Reeds, they charged in. Everybody except Pharaoh. Pharaoh's standing there, go, go, go. And once they were all in there, God just swallowed them up. And Pharaoh is now a beaten man. He realized he can't win. And this is how Hashem was glorified. Because, back in the ancient times, they didn't have technology, they didn't have phones, they didn't have computers, but gosh darn it, word got around pretty quick, right? And that's what happened. That's how God was glorified. So we do the Song of the Sea, which, by the way, we do every morning. That's part of Pesukei de Zimra. And it comes right before Yishtabach during the morning service, right before Nishmat Kol Chai in the Shabbat service, and of course the festivals as well. We also have a portion where Moses is going up to get the second set of commandments, and God is giving him his 13 attributes, and this is after he busted the first or broke the first set. He's going back up to Sinai. He's taking his tablets with him, and he's going to write the commandments. It's going to be man-made instead of God. It's going to be divinely written. So. All right, so you've got the also the Torah portion, the 10-minute Torah for Pesach 8. Looking forward to seeing you all in services. Friday, it's going to be a big weekend. Friday morning, right? Pesach 7. Friday evening, Erev Pesach 8. Saturday morning, we finish it off. Saturday night, go off and have some pizza. Okay, Chag Sameach, everybody, and upcoming Shabbat Shalom.